Well, hopefully, as the title says, we're going to hope that the NBN behaves. Because we had a couple of attempts at doing this yesterday to no avail, and it was just a pain in the neck. So I got sort of 20 minutes in, and nothing. It went all sort of stopped working and carrying on all that sort of business. So hopefully we've got a better access to bandwidth, would be the hope of the day. So I've already got 7 people, which is good. We're off to a better start already. So fingers crossed. Varken Good. Hi Pete, how are you going, Varken Good? We'll just suck it and see how this goes. I got tea and I got a chocolate bar here too, so I'm pretty happy. And I had a nap after work. I was exhausted and I fell asleep on the couch, so I'm feeling really good. G'day Pete, how you going, Brett? Oh, g'day Friday, how you going, Brett? Make that 8. Hi Greg, streetcar culture. How are you going? Jason, isn't it? How are you doing today, mate? You going good? Working well in Townsville, mate. GT owner here. Lucky you. G'day Phil. G'day John. Thank you, Wayne, for loving my work. I haven't done much lately, but I'll have another video for upload in the not too distant future. G'day Ian. How you going? Guards, Ben, as far as I'm aware, they're going all right. I haven't heard from Graham in a little while. Yeah, I still got the XW. The XW is in the back corner of the garage where the XC was. And there's a wonderful chap called Darren. Where are you with the projects? The Austin motor. Okay, I'll talk about the XW in a minute. The Austin motors, so one of them is still on that stand. I haven't started it since I did the video, so I'll give it another kick in the guts. Sunny Southwest France. Oh, how are you? I've got the MG one. Well, it's not an MG one. It's the 1600s at the machine shop, and it's all paid for. The only thing I wanted him to do was look at the clearance. Oh, he's done all that. No. He's done everything. I've just got to get a cam ground, and I can pretty much put it together. It's ready to go. I just haven't picked it up yet. And the other thing with it was I've got to. I was going to get him to polish the crank. I'm not sure he did that. Hello, Choppers. How you going? Shout out to NBN. Yeah. It's funny because I had Optus cable for 20 years. Never had a problem. Got NBN, having loads of problems. And we couldn't, I didn't want NBN. I wanted to keep the cable, but Optus actually disconnected the network. Hello, 110. How you going? XW, yeah. So there's a wonderful chap, Darren, who's offered a 9-inch rear axle. Yeah, stay safe. I reckon we'll go into lockdown again, which is going to be a huge pain in the bum. But to be frank, I mean, we're in lockdown a lot of last year and it didn't bother me that much. Swing past sometime, mate. Check out the Mazdas. I would love to check out the Mazdas. You got a bunch of early 929s. I remember in 1983, there was a girl in year 11. No, it was 1982. I was in year 10. She was in year 11 and she got picked up in one of those things. And I noticed that because I thought the girl was really attractive. And so I'd see her around. And her parents picked her up in one of those things and I'd never seen anything like it. Where are you anyway? You're out Dandenong Way? I don't know where you are. I'd love to swing by though. Yeah, I will. I'm doing good getting the cat rod. Is that the rat rod? Ready for another show. I'm taking it to refresh my memory. You may want to speak to Optus over current modem and the speed pack. I get. Yeah, when we went for the okay, so when we went for this NBN, they tried to put me on one plan and said I had a sweetheart deal with them with an old. Oh, here we go. The connection is unstable. Are you serious? That would really piss me off if this goes bad again. Yeah, and I said, look, I'm on the best thing. Can you do it? And they ended up putting me onto the best one, but and it worked well, you know. And I must say the upload speed is 10 times quicker than it was, but the download speed isn't that good. G'day, Rob. How you going? School to mate on Panfield and Casefield. He wouldn't have it, so referred him to your channel. And not only does he understand now, he loves your Ford stuff. Oh, grouse. If you want to be schooled in that sort of stuff, the Americans, they built the C4. So just, they know the colloquial term of C10, but C10's an Aussie nickname, for want of a better term. I've had an argument with a guy and he wouldn't have it. He said, no, there's C8s and C9s and C10s. I said, mate, there's not. So, yeah, I'm a bit worried about my connection. It's going up and down again. Oh, you're in Bentley. Is that where you are? Is it Jason? Is that where you are? Is that your name, Jason? And yeah, I will drop in. If you give me an email and tell me where you are, I'll come over and we'll do a little joint thing, catch up. Jason, right? Yeah. You took the car inside. Did you give it a clean up? If you want it looking like brand new, get it hydro-blasted. Take it apart and get the bits and pieces hydro-blasted, and you'll find it comes up as new. And you can plate bits and pieces too. And they always look good when you do that. That's what I do with all mine, and they come looking brand new. That thermoquad was a real pain. Like, that was a mess when I got it. Someone had sandblasted the outside of it, and the inside was full of white dust from all the oxidized aluminium. Okay, Pete, this live feed has more takes than Charlie Chaplin flick. Is it fluent where you are, Harvey? Is it actually fluent? Project Collector, when are you going to do a joint build again? Like you built the bike for your mate and heated your car engine. You like that, yeah. There's a few people I do it with. David's a very close friend. So I was kind of cool doing it for him, but I don't often do them. It could be a can of worms doing that, but we'll see. You got a 1980-1999 Legato that hasn't been filmed yet that you might find interesting. Sounds interesting. I like JDM stuff. Lots of nice GT Falcons at Cootamundra Airport last week. Oh. Liam, how are you going? I hope you don't go into another lockdown on online learning. I think if the numbers go up tonight, they'll probably do a lockdown, but they'll probably do like a 5-day one, which would be, online classes for the next 5 days. I didn't mind that, but a lot of the kids did have a bit of a problem with it. The year 7s were good though. I personally love you to do a hold project. Spearing you didn't have your channel when you had the LJ. I know. I want to get another one. There's one on Facebook Marketplace for 8,900. It's probably gone now. It's a TA. It's a 4-cylinder one. Good car to stick an SR20 in. I would actually probably do that. Hi, Darren. How are you going? Hang on. I'm losing it. Where am I? Aldi's had a 1995 speed, brand new in 1980. Dad traded in a 200B in lime metallic green. He reckoned the Datsun and burnt oil from you. You reckon the Datsun burnt oil. But 200Bs weren't a terrific car. The L20 was a good engine, but the 180B was a better car. It breaks up a bit, but it's running. Yeah, it's ridiculous. I'm so tired of it. Because I haven't got content. I've got a little bit of content coming up, but I haven't got an awful lot. And so I figured live stream, I actually like doing them because I like interacting with people. And, what can you do if it doesn't work out? Although, to be honest, I'm doing it at 9 o'clock at night, and that's going to be like peak. Everyone's on the internet, particularly if we go into lockdown. I've got to talk to you about oil senders too, Harvey, and we've got to catch up. I haven't caught up with you for about 12 months or so, probably more. We also had an issue with the weather. I'm creating the Optus line on the power pole. Oh, okay. My pa had a Jensen Interceptor in yellow. They're a nice car. Chrysler engine. He worked at the Bayswater Aquarium in the 70s and 80s. Got stolen, never seen again. That's not good. Good day and good evening, Jared. Put a blown 357 to 79 hold Gemini. God, did you put ladder bars on that? You'd have to put ladder bars on, wouldn't you? You want to do a Ford Escort on the channel in the future? Perhaps a Mark II Cortina. That'd be good. You really do need to do an Alfa Romeo from back in the day. You cannot say you're a cargo if you've never owned one. That's what Jeremy Clarkson said. I'm a car guy, I guess, but I've never had an Alfa. we've had Fiats. We had a couple of 128s, 128 3P and a normal 128. And they were good fun little cars. I always liked the 124 Fiat. Alphas I don't know much about. I know they're shocking for rust. And I'd have one, but I just don't know where to put it. An Alpha I'd probably flip actually, if I got something like that. But then knowing me, I'd drive it, fall in love with it, and want to keep it. 8-second pass. Jeez. How did you keep it in a straight line? Gotta go, mate. Need to listen to AC/DC and watch James Bond. All right, then. See ya. I wanted to relive my youth with another Gemini, but like all, I don't know, they get too expensive. And I know what you mean. I want to do it with an LJ. Evening, Pete from Mildura. G'day, Green. JJ, how are you going today? G'day, Pete. Nice to meet you. Watched your videos for quite a while. Thoughts on XF Falcon S-Pack? Good. They're getting hard to get. They're getting really, really hard to get. They're basically an XD with a round front of them. Derek Diamond, I have a cage. Oh, yeah. Classics have gone up in value too much. That's why I got bikes as well. But then motorbikes are expensive. Everything's expensive. So the ones that are affordable most of the time are 80s and 90s cars. And 90s cars aren't old enough to really be classics yet, I don't think. But, I mean, chrome bumper cars are the ones everyone seems to want. You're going to change your head gasket in your Isuzu. What's your opinion on installing new camshaft in an old engine? 245 kg. Cam bearings typically have much wear. It depends if it's sat around for a long time too, because they do tend to shale. But there's nothing wrong with sticking a new cam in an old engine. It will put wear on parts. Like a new cam, if it's a bigger lift and duration, would generally, a lot of the time, change out valve springs and that sort of stuff. But if it's like an RV talker cam, it wouldn't be a problem. You can just stick that in. Change the timing gears though. Or yeah, timing chain if it's got a lot of slack in it. You keen on taking my V6 tri for a ride? No. I'd scare myself. Good to see you, Green JJ. Might try to make it this Saturday if we don't go into lockdown if you're free. Yeah. Okay, so what's wrong with the dog? Is he not well? By the way, Pete, are you able to work on the later cars? All right, so I was on the bench at this until Matt Bender said it was 2001. So I kind of I can get around all that stuff. It's when they start going for some of the electronic stuff, stability control and that sort of thing I've never worked on. I can work on anything. I can figure it out. I just actually don't want to. Do you know what I mean? Like my VE Commodore, I've actually never serviced. I've always went to other people to service. I don't want to work on it. And I should, but I just don't want to. I love working on the old stuff. It's a bit sort of easier and I don't know, there's something rewarding about getting an older car and, you know, doing your timing and your points and setting up your carburetor and getting it to run as smooth as a new fuel injected car anyway. What is it? What am I up to? Hang on. Evening, Pete. Look forward to seeing the completed bikes. Me too. I have several projects that I go from one to the other when I get bored. That's what I do. And I've got to finish the bikes. I think I mentioned Cruising Image. I bought the front disc, caliper overhaul, and master cylinder for the Suzuki, and then they never delivered it. And I got the shits because I've sent them so many emails and nothing, no communication, nothing. They took $300 and then said nothing about it. Jared, $5. Thanks, bud. That's awesome. Thank you very much. How do you get rid of the emoji window? Are you saying, am I the emoji? You can just click the cross at the top and I'll disappear. Can't believe that can't believe the price of vanity number plates down there. Somewhere XA GT with the plates GT671 for no charge. Yeah, God, imagine what that's worth now. I've done the same thing, sold stuff and then tore down. Hello again from North Yorkshire, UK. How are you, David? And don't forget, I'm joining you from sunny Melbourne. HG Monaro sold, yeah. I had a VL Commodore and it was a Berliner manual. And my friends used to call it a Burley because I put all Calais brand new because my brother worked at Holden. Got all the brand new front, the tail lights, the garnish that goes between the tail lights and all the side moldings and stuff. Painted them. It was identical to a Calais from the outside. You couldn't pick it. Although it had arrows because it went to HGT when John had it. and I sold it like an idiot. And the last time, the rego was CWU464. And when I typed it into Victoria Rego Check, it came up as stolen in 2003. So, and I saw it after that. I'm sure I saw it in Bayswater. He's 12 and a half and advanced arthritis. He can't walk very much. He's a pristine looking dog though, isn't he? He's a beautiful looking dog. Yeah. What's your email? Susie and Peter Anderson at gmail.com. Hang on, I'll put it in the thing here. Susie and Peter. It's all one word, lowercase. Susie and Peter Anderson at gmail.com. Can you see it there, Jason? Go outside now and check out the lunar eclipse. Is there an eclipse at the moment? Is there? Hang on. I'll go and get my slippers. I'll be back in a moment. If you're in Melbourne, go and have a look at the lunar eclipse. I've never seen one. And it's like, it looks like a ping pong ball that's sort of semi-lit from the side. Thanks so much for telling me. I just didn't know. It's pissing down. And whereabouts are you? I can't think. Plus the newspapers. I know you're a library of info, not really. Do you know where the 9-inch diff was dropped off? It was dropped at the end of the XC. So XB, GTs and XCs had forward disc brakes, although they're slightly different from one another. But the 9-inch was dropped in the XC, and the 351s in the XD and XE had 4-pinion bogies in them. There'll be another. Yeah, no, it's really good. Good evening, Jason. How are you? Live in Townsville, North Queensland, and there's a swap meet in Charters. All right, so the XC, I still haven't done the boot lid. I've just got to buff it out and fit it out with those nice trims and all this sort of stuff. And has this thing crashed again? I'm really disappointed with it. And then I'm sort of finished at the back. Eventually, I will have that rear bumper bar done up, though. It's just not good enough for the car. Do you know what I mean? It just doesn't look as good as it could. So I've just got to finish up the back. I've got a Ford badge from Nathan Hickey, and I've got a GXL badge, and I've got the 2 chrome trims. I've got to get some of the trims for the bottom one. I've got the Nathan gave me the clips for the top one, so I can put that on and basically finish it off. And John at Old School sent me a message to say the seatbelts are done. So that means, and I'll get the the insulation panel for behind the back seat. So all the interior is pretty much done except the console. So it's really quick to finish. I do have to send the headlights out though. There's a guy that it's coming good. Are you talking about the stream or about the eclipse? There's a guy that does the resilvering, and I've tried to call him a few times to no avail, so I don't know what's going on with him. But yeah, look, there's plenty of time. I want to get it on the road in spring, and we're just about to go into winter now, so there's time, even though it's been frustrating. There is time to do it. Yeah, so I'm interested to see if this works. Well, I've got a 9:18 is prime eclipse viewing. Okay, so 9:18, that's 5 minutes from now. We're going to have another look. Trying to get seatbelts from XW, but none of them are RDA approved, and you're right. So, hello, Grant, how are you? The problem with, when I bought mine, I didn't know this. I put them in and found out soon after that they were marketed for display. So they're aftermarket, but they don't have that Australian thing on them. When I got the car roadworthy, I don't go to that guy anymore. He actually passed away. G'day from Blackpool. That's from right around where my family's from. When I put them in the XW, I didn't realise they were just for display because they weren't approved, which is kind of bad to drop $1,000 on a set of seatbelts that aren't really usable. But anyway, I put them in all. I actually put them in, and they got through roadworthy, but he didn't check. Being aftermarket, I didn't say anything, but he didn't check that there was a label stitched onto them to say that they were approved. The XC's original seatbelts getting rebuilt, or have been rebuilt now. They're back with John, and they will be approved. So yeah, I'll go out in a few minutes and have a look at that lunar eclipse. It's quite interesting. It looks beautiful up there. But yeah, seatbelts are a pain. The rest of the stuff on that car is pretty easy. And I do have to redo the front end on the Bluebird because I want to put that on the road and use that as a daily. The Starling's been good, but I've got that there and I want to get it out of the driveway and put the trailer back into the trailer's in the front yard and it looks terrible. So there's just a few bits and pieces. For those model boats, yeah, there's the SS United States and the Titanic up there. That's just, yeah, just on the Palmat. There's just junk in this room. I did clean up that buffet because someone looked at it and said, nice day, going. It's just crap everywhere. It looked dreadful. Have a good friend with a Ford solenoid on his Mopar. Engine won't turn off. No. Yeah, no, I don't think it is wired wrongly. If it's an aftermarket solenoid, sometimes that happened to the XW when it was new. It hasn't done it since, but yeah, what was I going to say? I turned it over and then let the key go and it kept turning. And I went out and knocked it and it stopped, but then it hasn't done it since. And that was when the car was new, or when I first restored it. So that was like 6 years ago that happened. Probably even more, probably closer to 7 years ago now. So yeah, they're just aftermarket stuff, just nowhere near as good as the original. I'm hoping to find a project that will swap me. I think everyone goes for that reason. They want to get something cheap and they find in the classifieds because everything's just so expensive. You know, I mean, I want to do some of the cars I had. I mean, LJ Tirana's at the top of the list, but geez, you know, a crap LJ Tirana is well over 10 grand. And that's for a really, really average car. Bluebird versus 323. No, you kill me. 323 Turbo, they're a good little. That was the one you put on, isn't it? So that's a little twin cam 1600 thing. No, you kill me. The bluebirds go well, but it's a yeah. I think it's slaughtered me in that case. I enjoyed your older engine rebuild videos. Do you find it hard to do all the work at the same time, film and edit the video? Do you have a helper? No one helps. No, I just talk as I do it. I do get pinned occasionally for not using a lapel mic because it's hard to understand or it's hard to hear, but I just babble as I do it. Do you spend a lot of time on YouTube researching how to fix all various fixes you've performed? No, no. Old school mechanics. I'm a bit of an old school mechanic. You just know that stuff. You do look for specs every now and then, though, like ring end gaps and bits and pieces. Or if you're having trouble sourcing parts, I use the internet for that. But I don't. I don't use YouTube. The only time I used YouTube was I pulled. Yeah, I think it was the only time I used it. I pulled a 354 cylinder motorbike engine apart. It was apart for a long time, and there's a guy, an American chap, that did one, and I looked at his videos on how to reassemble it and the order he put them in because they're different from a 750 engine. But I ended up finding that he'd done a few things wrong, or the order of some of the things were incorrect. So I normally just nut it out, or when I'm pulling it apart, I'm concentrating. If I'm not familiar with it, I'm really concentrating and I make sure that I'm in the right mindset and I'm not tired or anything. Because if I'm tired, I'll just forget straight away. But if I'm really in that zone, I'll just take a lot of notice of what I'm doing and I remember it. Funny thing is, I actually forget soon after I've put it together. But don't ask. What do you think about doing up? Yeah, you might. Yeah, I think you asked that last time. I said go for it. Subaru Vortex turbos are very, very rare. They're a very square car, bit of a supercar from the 80s, I think, from memory. It was very out left field for Subaru. But yeah, I would certainly do it. Absolutely, because I mean, I've never seen one since I worked at Supertrim, I think. I saw the SS United States in Philly in '96. It looked pretty sad. You should see photos of it now. It's still in Philadelphia, in a wharf, and it's lost most of its paint. It's been gutted. They've taken all the asbestos out of it. Oh, I've just got to go and have a look at that lunar eclipse. Apparently 9:18 was the optimum time. Just a moment. You can really see on the moon where the sun's shining to it. When the sun's shining on it on the other side, it looks brilliant. What have I got here? What do you think about? Yeah, I have to go make my Wi-Fi. It's dropping out. Have a good night. Thank you so much for joining. I think it's cheaper to import an American classic than buy an Aussie classic. Yeah. Pardon me, or a Japanese one. Back in the 80s, I was a taxi driver for a while. Oh, God. Drove an old Datsun 180B. The office had bought several at auction for pennies. You just couldn't kill them. No. For pennies, sorry. No, you can't. I've read that Cleveland's cylinders are quite thin. I recommend only go to 30 overbore. Have you ever gone over this bore size? Did you have any issues? No. The problem, I think, is probably more to do with core shift. You can get 60 over for Cleveland's. I heard 40 is probably the true max, but if you speak to a performance guy, they'll tell you 30. It depends on what you're going to use the engine for, too. I've gone to help the moon. Peter has a total eclipse of the heart. Have you seen the Dan Band? So the Dan Band did a version of Nicky French's, or not Nicky French's, the Total Eclipse of the Heart, that song, and filled it with bad language. It was very funny. Hello again, Missy Laura. How are you going? Not watching the moon. I just went out and had a look at it. Yeah, it's cloudy. It's good. It looks like this sphere with light shining on one side of it. It's really, really nice. Might go and have another look in a minute. particularly if this slows down. It seems to be a bit better tonight, but we're when we've got good internet, we normally get well over 100 people. Hi, Steve. How are you going? Have you had a look at the moon? Is everyone in Melbourne had a look at the moon? We've got a break in the clouds. We can actually see it quite clearly. So yeah, it's I don't know what I'm going to do toward the end of the year. I'm hoping I can make some more room here because I want to do another car, but I just can't at the moment. I just joined last time just as your net was flaking out. Yeah, it's probably going to flake out again. Just see how you go. I have no trust in it. You just don't know what you're going to get every time you log on. Sometimes it's all right. Generally speaking, for just browsing the net, it's not too bad. But you know, at the moment, it's okay. But I don't trust it. It's not very reliable, which I find intolerable. We've got the equivalent of dial-up sometimes, which is a 90s thing. You know, it's pretty rubbish. So, have you all gone and had a look at the moon? Yeah, dump a great view of the moon. Yeah, using it. I haven't got. It should be total eclipse at 9:26. So we'll go out again at 9:26. Dump a shipping container on the front garden. Yeah, it's just my front garden looks like crap at the moment because I haven't weeded it. And I went out and I mowed it and blew it off and whippersnipped the noise. And then all the leaves and everything blew straight back in. When you split the cases on the Victor 125s, how did you remove the crank from the bottom half of the case? Are you talking about that boss that's pressed onto it? I just made up a tool. But the crank should just slide out. And if it doesn't, just use a soft hammer on the end of it. Put the nut on and just give it a few whacks and it'll come out. They're not pressed in or anything. Good morning from Iowa. How are you today? How's it going in sunny United States? How the hell did you work from home last year? Oh, I loved it. I loved it. The year 10s didn't do any work. I was worried about that. But the year 7s and so forth, they were really, really good. They had heaps of work. And I would sit here like I'm talking to you. And I would talk about the content and what you need to do, and then have examples of bits and pieces you need to do your portfolio, for example. They couldn't do prac work, but they could do their folio work. And I was amazed at the quality. And I actually showed some of the year 10s. I said, look at this folio. And I asked, it was a couple of girls in year 7 that did this work. And I said, can I print it out and use it? Or use a software copy, whatever. And they said, yeah, it's fine. But I took their names off and I showed them this folio stuff and said, guess how old these kids are? And I said, oh, year 9, year 10. I said, no, the year 7 to 12, you should be able to do at least as good as that. Is the internet, well, the internet was rock solid stable for years and years and years, and then we went to NBN. It's been rubbish ever since. So you can thank that for it. It's not sunny, it's rainy season. Seems to be late May in the US. Hoping for several clear days I can get the MG out for a drive. What sort of MG is it, an A or a B? Or oh, you've got one for the XC. Tell me, I owe you money for that. Okay, he uses a Sigma 100 to 400 mil lens with a ×2 teleconvert. I don't know what that is. The rattling noise will be the mic on the cam. I'm just going to duck out again for a moment. I just want to go and see what's going on with this moon. Oh, 74 midget. That's a 1275, isn't it? They're a great little car. I just want to go and have another look. Just a minute. Oh, gee whiz. I've learned so much watching you do your best. Thanks very much. That's kind of you to say. Yeah, it is. I think it's all the tricks you know for doing things easy that really helps me with my repair comments. There's always a shortcut, or there's always secrets. And sometimes having a conversation with someone is a good way of finding them out. I used to speak to a couple of spray painters before I mean, everyone knows how to grab a rattle can, and you can play around and get some good mixtures with your acrylic paint and get a fairly good finish, but it's always pays to go, particularly if you're doing blending or anything like that, to talk to someone, because I'm not a painter, so I felt a bit out of my depth with that, at least to get it to a point where no one would say, oh, he did that job at home. That's what I didn't want. I wanted it so that people said nice paint, and that was it. So I asked a lot of people, or a couple of people, I'm not really telling the truth, just a couple of people, but I asked them a lot of questions on what to do and how to make things work and that sort of thing. So I did get help with that. Mechanical stuff, normally when you pull something apart, you realize, oh, I could have done this better. I could have done it easier, and you can kind of figure stuff like that out. And if you've done the job for a long time, then those sorts of things become quite obvious. Normal service. Do you adjust your set? Hang on. Sorry about this. Yeah. So hopefully, we've still got some pretty good. It just still says the connection's unstable, which is a bit of a shame. I will go into another account of a shame. I will go into another account, email account. I just want to see something quickly. Actually, the internet is rubbish because I'm going into my work email. I need to see something, and it's not particularly good. You'd think, I don't know. It's all right. Okay. I worked as a collision repairman and painter for 30 years in the UK. Now I do mostly swords and armour since I retired. Photography takes up a fair amount of time too. And it seems, yeah. I haven't done a speed test on my line. I don't know how to do that. That's probably how I should do it. I should probably test it first before I jump on here and do anything, because it is pretty disconcerting. Yeah, I mean, like I used to do cars years ago when I was a lot younger, but I never really liked it. And it's only once I stopped doing it for a job that I actually began to like it, particularly as I became a school teacher. I actually enjoy working on cars. I don't have to talk to anyone. Well, I do now because I've got this YouTube stuff, but at the time it was good because I didn't need to say anything. I would just plod along and think about other stuff while I was doing it or whatever, and it was a good way to sort of, remove stress, I guess. Mate, I don't have your skills, would you? There's plenty of things I can't do. I thought it was. Oh, heck, so many cars I'd love to restore. Yeah, I know. I know the feeling. Uh-oh, we're pixelated. Is the internet after it rains? I don't know. Is my NBN worse when it rains up there? I'm not sure. Last time was the black screen of death. Now it's the white screen of death. Welcome to world-class internet. That's why we pay big bucks for it. Oh no, it's nuts. It's so stupid. This whole thing was a debacle, and they've done a couple of things like that. The speed, what was the thing? The smart meters on houses they rolled out. It was dumb. And then they kept rolling it to the point where the technology was redundant, and they were halfway through, a quarter way through the whole of Melbourne, so they kept rolling it out. I mean, who makes these daft decisions? It's just ridiculous. There are apps for phone to download and free test it. Yeah, I don't know what that is, but yeah, it's worth googling it to find out. I was hoping you remember which video you serviced the Bluebird transmission. I didn't service it. You serviced the Bluebird transmission. I didn't service it. I pulled apart the XW's transmission when it was in the car to change the selector shaft seals. I didn't test the Bluebird's transmission, I think. When I was working the trade, I hardly touched mine. Now I retired, it's great. Yeah, same thing. XE ESP or VK Blue Meanie. Did you see the silver ESP on Greys? I saw the Blue Meanie and it went for over $1 million, $1 million to $57,000 for Peter Brock's Blue Meanie. The XE I didn't. And the other thing, actually, I'm not sure if you saw the RPO 83 XA. Someone was saying the panels were really thin on it. It wasn't very good. Last time I looked, it was 250,000 or 230,000 or something. But I forgot about it. Then I went in to have a look, and it wasn't there. So I'd be interested to know what that got. If you had to have done it properly to start with, you would have been PGA. Yeah, if they'd done it, but they planned for it. Gillard's government planned for it, and then the Liberals got in and they culled it, or at least they only did a half-assed job with it. I think it was the Liberals' fault. I'm not sure. Some good cars that ended yesterday. Do you know what that GT got? What that XA GT actually fetched? I'm not sure. But yeah, this happens all the time. Politicians, I mean, I never talk about politics on the channel as, sex and politics, and what's the other thing you never talk about? Religion. I never talk about any of that stuff. But it's difficult not to sometimes when you're so frustrated with some of the things that go on. Yeah, I mean, what do you do? Hang on a second. Where am I up to? Something odd is happening on the internet. Has you repeating yourself? Must be like an old guy. At least the NBN didn't catch fire like Peter Garrett's insulation rule. That was terrible, wasn't it? I think how many houses caught fire? Something like 4 or 5 of them. And have a look and see if you can find that GT. And I think a couple of people died in it. I'm not sure. Oh, 355,000 on the last V8 ESP. The last V8 ESP was the silver one, 4.9 litre, wasn't it? Was that the one that was in the press photos? The last V8 car? Or was that a Fairmont gear? That might have been a Fairmont gear. I don't know. I can understand 355 grand if it's that last one that's in the press photos that was a 302. But it's crazy money. It's just crazy, crazy money. And this is the deal. If you had, like my XW I did up as just a Fairmont type K-code car. There was such a thing with XWs, which there's not, but that's how I did it up. I didn't want to do it as a GT because I knew everyone asked me if it was genuine. But I don't know if I bought one. They're just too valuable. Yeah, I have problems there. Contact Optus. Yeah, I might. Was it 351, wasn't it? I thought it was a 302. I don't know. I have no idea. But I know it's a lot of money, and I don't think it. I think an XU1 recently got $300,000 too. Such a lot of money, isn't it? It's crazy. What did you think of the Nissan Skyline that shared its engine with the VL? Had both station wagons. The Nissan held up much better as far as build quality. Never see them in Pintaras or Pintaras. They're the R31s. They were good cars. And the R31 had a 3.7 rear axle in it. The VL Combo had a 3.45 to 1. And so the R31s actually felt, it was the other way around. No, that's the way it was. The R31s felt peppier. They were good cars. I've got a policeman friend who had an SVO R31. What was it called? The red one with the white wheels. Yeah, Denmark Ford Hill. Yeah, 302. That's the one. The VL Commodore, I had one, but it was a new car then. So I got that. John bought it new in 1986, and I got it in 88. And I only had it for a couple of years before I sold it and bought a Merc. Which I don't regret having that Merc, but I do regret selling the Holden. It was a good car. But the R31 engine, the VL engine's an RB30, and they're just gold. They're brilliant. They're a 2-bolt main, but all the main bearings sit in the girdle. So it's like having 4-bolt main or more. You know, they're so strong. People were getting 1,000 horsepower out of them just by putting huge turbos on them. It wasn't the Silhouette. No, the Silhouette was a Nissan thing. The Silhouette was a Nissan thing. It was a Skyline. They were red. They were all red and they had white wheels. White, like not Momos, but they were like that. I can't remember what they were called. Skyline GTS. The coin balancer. Yeah, the R31 was rated a bit more, 4 kilowatts more than the VL. And a friend of mine was a manual, it didn't go that well, but a friend of mine had an automatic executive and that flew. Subies are very, Skyline GTS. Subies are very popular here. I've never had one. I've worked on a couple of them when I was in my mechanics days, but I remember doing an early one. I had to do a clutch and it was easy to take the engine out. I'm sure that's what it was. A long time ago. I haven't worked on a Subi for a long time, but I do respect them. I respect all Japanese cars. I like them. Now you're getting a lot of Korean stuff, and the Korean stuff in the 90s, the Hyundais and Kias were terrible. Now they're really good. And now you're getting Chinese cars coming in. So one of my kids bought an MG ZS. They've done about 20,000 Ks in it. It's been good. The other day, they were just stopped in the Eastlink tunnel line. Just quit. And, you know, Charlie had to stop the car in the middle of the tunnel, started, he drove away. She drove away. And it was just, that's very poor. So I said, get in touch with them straight away. And it's a warranty issue, and it's a safety issue too. But aside from that, the car's been good, and it's very comfortable to drive. It's only a 1500cc, like a 1.5 litre 4-cylinder. It revs its tits off a bit, but it's nice enough car. You know, I don't like the idea of it just stopping though. I mean, that's really, really bad. You just don't need that. Yeah, I'll get hold of Optus. I don't like what I'm seeing so far. So I haven't really got any plans with other cars. I've just got to finish off the ones I've got. I did have a dream, a fantasy of making a bigger garage or getting another double one built on the back of mine. Putting the Plymouth in there and actually pulling that apart to do all the body mounts and all that sort of stuff before I populate it with Fords. There are so many 80s cars, the 80s cars are really coming into vogue. What model is my Optus modem? It's, I can't see it, there's too much crap in front of it. I don't know, the writing's blue. I think it's one of those Sagan ones or something. I know I'm not happy with NBN. I know I hate it. But you spend thousands of dollars on telecommunications every year. You expect a little bit better than what you're getting. I mean, I love 60s, 70s cars. There's 90s cars I like. You know, that's why I bought that Bluebird. I'd like another, like I picked up a Fairlane V8 NF, is that the one? EF model, and it was a beautiful car. I had nowhere to put it, so I sold it off. I don't think it's the modem's fault though, because if there's no connection, if there's no link, and there's the lights flashing on that there's no, or not flashing on that there's no internet, it's not the modem's fault. It's the line coming in. Have one dirty shop and a clean one. Yep, that's exactly right. Do you have Granadas? No, I've got the XD, which is its styling is based on the 79 Granada. I don't know, what 78, 79 Granada, I don't know, is it the Mark III one? And oddly enough, the one before that, that was on the Sweeney all the time, the headlights, I need a pair of those because they fit the XE. The problem with England is the amount of corrosion those old cars go through. I mean, they've got, my auntie had a Mark I Golf GTI, and I'd love one of those cars. They're just beautiful little cars. I mean, they've got, my auntie had a Mark I Golf GTI, and I'd love one of those cars. They're just beautiful little cars. Advice on restarting a 351 after 3 years. It was not choked. All right, what I would do, pull your plugs, throw some oil in there, just light machine oil. It doesn't really matter. But also, before you turn it over, pull your distributor out, turn the distributor. Before you turn it over, pull your distributor out, turn the distributor. It's an 8mm socket and a thing, and you can rotate the drive for the oil pump down the distributor hole and do it counterclockwise, and then wait for it to get oil pressure. So connect a multimeter up to the oil sender, or a continuity tester or something, or a light, something so you know when it gets oil pressure. Spin it with a cordless drill until you get oil pressure up, then rotate it. Take your rocker covers off. You probably don't need to after 3 years. You can probably just rotate it, but rotate it by hand a couple of times first to make sure it's doing 2 full turns, so there's no sticky valves or anything. Do you know what I mean? And then you can try and start it. Yeah, the XD. I've got to repaint some of the XD. I'm waiting till I can get it undercover though. And the same with the Sigma. When I can get them undercover, I'll paint them properly. Without a speed check, you're in the dark. Search speed test. Yeah, I will. I will absolutely do that. I had issues with my NBN. Purchased a good router and it's been great. But you could still have issues in the line to your house. And I think you might be right. Serviced my N15 Triple S Auto and did 300 kilometers. Perfect, and doesn't do anything in drive with no overdrive. On slips it off, but drives in first and second. To Ringwood Automatics. The fluid level would be the first thing. The other thing is, did you touch the bands? I don't know if they have low reverse band in the autos and those. Some autos are set up differently. So if that was a C4 or something to that effect, I'd be going straight for the intermediate band. So if it's got reverse and first, you know, the low reverse is all right. Then the next one's the intermediate band. Sometimes on the Falcons, on the XFs, they would pop. You'd miss out on, I can't remember which gear, it could have been second and third. And the intermediate servo, you would actually take the pan off, and the servo would be sitting next to the valve body, and you can take the spring off it, pull the thing down by loosening your band, and take the piston out, and there's just an O-ring, and it would be broken. And so we used to fix heaps of autos that way. So it's a matter of getting on the forums and having a look around. It sounds like a band/servo issue, but first thing you would check the obvious, you check your transmission fluid and that sort of thing. When you looked at the auto, if you've serviced the auto, yeah. So did you touch the band adjustments on it? Because I don't know those autos at all, really. Technical question: 302 changed closed chamber heads on a 351 with no addition to pistons. Block not decked, compression probably close to 11 to 1. Have you heard of people doing it? Yeah, I did it. I did it back in the day when we were using leaded fuels, and it was, yeah, it went like hell. Yeah, my separation with my wife. My wife's a doll. She's a great person, but she wasn't happy. She's got a fella now in Ballarat, so we've got to talk about. There's obviously separation things we've got to go through, and that's something that's going to be quite a difficult thing to get through, I think. But she's a good person, you know. She's not a nasty person. She needs to be. She's been a great mum, so you know she's entitled to what she's entitled to. Yeah, iron heads you could get pre-ignition, yes, with them. The old leaded fuel was 98, so with 98 you should be able to do it. But yeah, you probably would get pinging. I did drop the valve body due to stupidity changing the filter, but didn't touch the bands. Okay, so if you pull the valve body out, there could be some sort of O-ring or something that's come out. Have a look in a manual. Just see what seals between the valve body and the transmission housing, just to make sure nothing's fallen in terms of an O-ring or gasket. So when it powers up from the pump, all that pressure is not just being dispersed in the transmission, not going to the servo or the band itself, because it sounds like that. It sounds like that could be one of the issues. 11.4 to 1, yeah. What's the rough cost of a full wreck of a 302 closed chamber heads? Some people, Graham spent $1,100 or $1,200 on his heads. So that's like 500 to 550 per head. Heads are expensive. Fancy an old Cortini, haven't you? Yeah, we've got old Cortinis. I love them. So yeah, I mean, I've done it years ago, but the XW's 351's a Windsor, but the XC is a Clevo, and that's got open chamber heads on it like they're supposed to. I did zero deck the block on that. Well, not zero deck it. I did clean it up, square it to the center line of the crank. So that brought my compression, I think I checked it at 9.2 or 9.4 or something, about the same as the standard 302. But the XW was different because I changed the compression height. I actually put different pistons in with a higher compression height because that was one of the later blocks that are a little bit taller to allow for a really low compression for smog in the United States. It came from my brother's Mustang, but hi Robert, how you going? Or Phil, sorry. Yeah, I changed the compression height and mucked around with it, all its specs like that, and I was nervous, but I did clearance it, and there was well over 100,000 clearance. So when you're changing all those sorts of specs, you need to make sure that you've got at least 100,000 clearance, and 100,000 is 2.5 millimeters between your opening valves and your approaching pistons, if you know what I mean. And that way, at full tilt, with rod stretch and all that sort of stuff, it won't contact. Yeah, it might be something simple. It sounds something simple. If you didn't adjust anything and you just took the thing off and put a filter on and then put everything back, then something's not quite right when you put it back. But otherwise, I've done that before. I redid the auto in the XD, or the brown one, in 1991 or something. And when I put it together, it was missing low reverse, right? And what it was there's three piston rings, endless piston rings on the front pump. And what happened is, I think they were too small. Put them in, they seal, so that they seal in the hub. And if it was losing pressure, and I took them out and I had the wrong size in there. They're like a piston ring thing on the back of the front pump. And I remember I had to take it out, take the converter out, take the front pump out, but the rest of the auto could stay in there. That was a long time ago. Want a good head job? Check out Head Stud Developments in Moorabbin. We use a guy, okay, with the club, there's one of the sons, the president of the club's son is an engine reconditioner. He does a lot of heads for the club. I wonder if he could do it a bit cheaper. I don't know. I mean, emails a bit of the Subaru Vortex Turbo. Good to see it. Yeah, I'd like to see it. You have a great eye for cars and bikes, which leads me to believe you have a great ear for music. Just a reminder that Angus and Malcolm are from Sydney. Malcolm died, I think. Malcolm Young died, didn't he? Or he had dementia or something. There was something wrong with him. AC/DC was huge. Our biggest export. But then Bon Scott was Scottish and Brian Jones was Scottish. And I think Axl Rose turned up, didn't he? Wasn't he heading AC/DC recently? Do they weld iron head cracks? They can stitch them. I drove a turbo manual back in the day. Something oddly cool about a Vortex, yeah. Bogan Blokes is back. Hang on. AC/DC talk. Yeah, he died, did he? God. But Angus Young is still around? I think. Very talented guys. We used to say it's a long way to the shop if you want a sausage roll. You know, when they're on the back of that flat top and they're outside Flinders Street Station, banging away. Yes, so really good engine reconditioners you recommend in Melbourne. There's a few. I use Speedworks in Ringwood. That's Tony. He does a lot of race engines. He did all my machine work on the XC. He did a bit on the XW, I think, and he did the little MG motor. They do come a lot cheaper than Tony, but Tony's brilliant. He got a 900 horsepower out of a normally aspirated Windsor, believe it or not. I don't know how the hell he did it, but he builds high-end engines like that, and he knows his stuff. He's not cheap, and he knows his stuff. Another guy, or another one, is Augers in Bayswater. They're very good, and crankshaft rebuilders, Ian Shug, he's top of his game. They do all sorts of stuff. So there's some very, very good engine builders around Melbourne. Video on my channel of Eddie welding some cast iron cracks in the 50s head. Yeah, he knows what he's doing. If he's doing cast iron welding, he knows what he's doing, because I can't do it. Any more info on the 4MA crank? Your research, American, many months ago. I had it in my head that the high nodular iron crank came with the toe back option. No, I just think they were a locally made, or sorry, an American made crank. They're actually a much nicer casting to what we had. 4MA cranks don't have the 351 embossed on it, like the Australian cranks do. So if you see 302, well, Americans never had 302 Clevelands, but if you see 302 or 351 on an embossed on a Cleveland crank, you know it was built here. 4MAs are much smoother casting, but I don't know anything about the makeup, the nodular content. I don't know if they're forged. I haven't got a clue. But I do know they actually look forged because they're very smooth. They're not like a sand cast rough, you know, one that we had in our cars. I've got one in the XC, the 4MA. And there's 4MAB as well. There'll be people that know that stuff. I just don't. Wasn't Yellow Terror across the road back in the 80s? Yeah, Yellow Terror was great. Yeah, this Eddie guy sounds like he really knows his stuff. The head bloke I used for my Gemini had a Clevo 2V, had been relieved on his machine for 351. Oh, okay. I was there. Head-to-head in Clayton. Could be retired now, but it was a couple of years ago. 4MAB is nodular iron. Do you know what 4MA is? Is that just normal cast? I've got no idea. I've been on for over an hour and I'm still here. Wow. I might have more chocolate. It's interesting stuff, though, isn't it? What they had, particularly Ford. Hang on, I've lost it. Where am I? Hang on, I've lost it. Where am I? No, it's a 12. I love my chocolate. 4MA is also nodular iron. Oh. They're much smoother in their counterweights. They look like they wouldn't throw as much oil around, but the other ones do. This frame still seems all right. High nickel content in a Mopar block. What are they? Is it a big block or a small block ones? Chrysler engines are bloody great. I'm impressed with the one in the Plymouth. They call them a semi-hemi. It's a poly. And it looks like a big block. It's huge. And it's only 301. Most of them, they had 277s in 1956 and had 301, 1957, also 318s. But they're just an LA block, basically. I mean, they're not really, but they're like a small block, but with these wider heads, and they're really wide. It's a really wide thing. And it's such a sweet runner. And it's got this little, like, Carter twin barrel on the top that looks lost in this big. There was a guy, actually, that had a twin 4-barrel manifold for it, and I don't want to drive the car between 4 barrels, but just the cool factor, you have to have it. But I never managed to get it from him. A lot of people have offered me stuff, and I haven't sort of chased it up because I feel kind of greedy, and I don't like asking for it. But you know, I sent Darren an email tonight about the 9-inch he offered, and offering someone a 9-inch rear axle is a big deal. Like, that's a big deal. They're just so hard to get, and they're so expensive, and to get offered that is huge. So he put it on a pallet and then sent me an email, and I've just sent him another one. So I'm about to get a freight, I'm about to pick it up, but I didn't do anything about that for a couple of weeks. I just felt bad. At what point does a small block become a big block when it comes to Fords, or is that just Chevy, Dodge? No, Ford have got their small blocks and big blocks. So traditionally, your small block is your Windsor. Your big blocks are either your FE big blocks, which 332, 352, 360, 390, 427, 428. And then they had the 385 series, which was 429, 460, and they also had another one. I think they had a 380 or something. I can't remember what size it was that they used in trucks. The Cleveland's a 335 series, somewhere in between a small and a big block. Generally known as a small block, but it's not really a small block, it's a Windsor. But Ford had a whole bunch. They had the Super Duty big blocks, which were in trucks. They were 500 whatever cubic inch. They also had the Mel engine. Mel was Mercury, Edsel, Lincoln, and they were used in things like your Continentals and stuff like that. And they were sort of 462 and stuff like that. Mel engines are interesting in that there's no combustion chamber in the head. It's flat like a diesel head, but the block is cast and machined with the piston here, and the piston's at the top on this side, and it's sort of down a bit on the outside of the block, and that becomes a squish area for your combustion chamber. They're interesting. I'll catch up. Yeah, Jason, I'll catch up with you. That'd be good. I'm keen to pick your brain a bit. I love your taste in cars. You're all over the joint with your taste, and I like that. I kind of dig that. Jason had Volvo 160s, and 160 manuals were a pretty quick car. 3.litre 6, really skinny looking thing, and then he's got his Japanese cars, and he had an XC Falcon, and he's like me. I think he just sees something, he likes it, and decides, yeah, I can't take that. And he had that. And Jason, I've got a bone to pick with you. You needed to keep that MX6 and sell it to me, because I really want one. I really want one. And then when I heard you sold it, it's like, what? Synthetic versus normal. I like mineral oil. I don't like synthetic. Synthetic's better, but when it stops working, it stops working. Where mineral oils just keep working, kind of, and they degrade in a linear way over 30 years, where synthetics work much better, but then they just stop working if you don't change it. Once you have a bit of time and mileage on your engine. So the Commodore, so you'll see Valiants from the 70s and Falcons from the 70s that still run and never had anything done to them. You'll never see that with a car that has a synthetic, I wouldn't think. My Commodore uses semi-synthetic, and I change it every year without fail. Some of the other cars I don't. I get lazy and I just don't change them. You should, but there are a lot of cars that are 40, 50 years old, more 60 years old or more, that are still running well, and they've never had oil changes every year. They have them every now and then, but that's all you need, the oil stuff. That's why I like it, because it's got more longevity. Just my opinion. I might be disagreeing with it, but it's all good. More cups of tea from Phil. Yes, thank you very much, sir. What have we got? Small block has a bore size less than 4 inch. You can also, yeah, I don't know if I agree, because you can, like your Dart small blocks, you can go 4.1 something like that. I can't remember. 4.2 inch, and stroke them and get 427 out of a small block. And that doesn't mean it's a big block. Then I still think it means it's a small block. It's just got, You say you don't want to do another bike, would you do a Harley? Probably not. I don't know where I'd put it to start with. Harleys are like a bus. They're huge. Yeah, look, I'd probably do something like an old Indian before a Harley, just because there's so many Harleys. I would probably do some sort of old British or American twin, I think. But I'd try a couple of other avenues before I went to Harley. That being said, I do like some of the old Harleys. Um, is there an update on your XC guides? Have you been enjoying following Graham's XA Coupe Guide channel? The GTS Scoops retrofit was great to see. I haven't watched it yet. So yeah, I've got to get in touch with Graham. I spoke to him. Well, I tried to speak to him, and his phone went out. But I sent him a message about his Holden engines. Some of the grey matter stuff's very expensive, and I'm waiting to hear back. Merc. What else? So Mercury, Link, Edsel, and Lincoln. Edsel, E-D-S-E-L, like the son of Ford. Yep. Although reasonably rare cars. Edsels have never been worth a fortune. There's probably some that are, some special models of the Edsel, but Edsels can still be quite affordable. Thanks, Sasha. Thank you very much. What are we on? A minute 12. I'll go to an hour 12. I'll go a little bit longer. I might have to smash this other chocolate bar. What do you think? I'll try and be more polite and not break it off. I don't know who some of those guys are. South Main Auto. I know who Eric the car guy is. I like Eric the car guy, but he gave crap advice with brake caliper overhauls. So this leg has a steady oil leak. I'm lazy and living by the motto that if there's no oil under her, there's probably no oil in it. Is it an old Celica with an 18R? Yeah. NBN. I know I had to sort of haggle with them a little bit because they wanted to give me slower NBN than what I had on cable. I said, no, I've been with you 20 years. I expect it to be at least the same. And they said, all right, then we'll put you on the top one and we won't charge any more for it. I said, thank you. And the upload speed is ridiculously good. It's really good. It's the download speed sometimes, or at least this sort of thing. I think it's because of the traffic. I think there's not many people upload stuff, but so many people download stuff. I think that's why. I think if it was working properly, it'd be really good. Okay, so he's a TAFE teacher like you in the States. I don't teach TAFE, actually. I'm a secondary. I used to teach TAFE courses to the secondary kids. So I had to be qualified to teach in a TAFE by it was a qualification called Cert for an Assessment Workplace Training. But my qualification in that has expired, so I'd have to redo it or do some sort of refresher course. But I'm a secondary teacher now. Had a high open in the pit where my house joins the street before NBN got installed, but as far as I'm aware, there's only copper coming out of my house. Yeah, it probably is. The fibre optic's just the backbone, as far as I know. It's just the one that goes around different areas, but everything coming out of there, going into houses, is still copper, I think. I could be wrong. I'm not clued up with it. I'm not clued up with much, really. Oh, 5SFE, it's 2.2 litre, isn't it? Thing rattles away and sounds like a diesel. For the past 6 years, she hasn't missed a beat. Yeah, they go forever. I think the 3S was a 2 litre and the 5S was 2.2 or something, wasn't it? Yeah. In the 80s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and the start of the 2000s, or probably 2000s, you could say, Toyotas were bulletproof. You never broke one. But some of the reliability has been lost, I think, only because now they're very, very full of electronics and all sorts of stuff, and there's just more stuff to go wrong, basically. After NBN got installed, I had a bit of trouble until this guy reset something at his end. It was weird, as it would drop out a few times a day. Yeah. G'day, Mark. How are you? Haven't seen you for a while. Yeah, NBN is crap. Yeah, I'll have to agree. I don't like the fact that we were shoehorned in to get it, and I didn't want it. I didn't want to borrow it. I was happy with the way it worked before. I got all these kids at school coming up and going, "Oh, I saw your low feed. I was watching it." I said, "Don't watch that. It's boring." It surprises me how many people watch this stuff without joining in. Notice I haven't been trolled. I know who it is. Late 80s to 2000 was definitely the golden era. The golden era for Toyota was, I think, longer than that, but they're just such bloody good cars. Even the boss of Toyota said the highest selling car is not necessarily the best car. So my brother doesn't like Toyota. He calls it white goods because they're about as interesting as a fridge. Bye-bye, Darren. Oh, Darren, was that you? Is it Darren Ellis? Is it you? Is it you with the diff? Is it? Yes, it is Darren. Oh, I sent you an email. Are you still there, Darren? Yeah, Darren, I sent an email. I'm ready to pay for the freight, but I just needed to know if you were going to be there or if there's someone going to be around so I can give them instructions, that's all. How did I stop the troll? I knew who it was. And yeah, I found out who it was. Watching from Japan. Hey, Boog, how you going? They overbuilt everything. They're just so well engineered. Like that, I drive that little Starley around, and you drive it around and think to yourself, this car is probably worth $300. And it will probably outlast everything else I can, within eye shot of where the car's parked. Yeah, they wanted something like 5 dropouts a day. It's just disgusting, isn't it? Isn't it terrible the way the businesses work these days? Yeah, the troll had, okay, the troll had 20 to 30 accounts with that was Peter Anderson's mum, and there was all sorts of stuff like that. I can't say his name. I knew it was him, and I asked him, and he said no. Then I found out he'd trolled another teacher, staff member, and there was a lot of awful lot of usernames. And when he put my address on, that's where I drew the line. That's when I went looking, and I found him pretty quick. But there's another guy involved too, but that other guy's not from my school. But I know his name and I know where he goes. And so, I can always, well, I'm actually not dealing with it. I've given it to somebody else to deal with because I think it's more professional to do that. But they'll be in touch with his principal and parents and all that sort of stuff as well. HJ60 had 420,000 Ks on it from you. Yeah, you probably do more too. They're just incredible. Australian broadband, I found them good, and they have an Aussie call center. Well, so you're never speaking with someone from India or Malaysia or the Philippines. Prices are pretty good too. That sounds fairly good. Uncle Tony's Garage is awesome, old school. So if it drops out over 5 times a day, they'll investigate it. Isn't that terrible? God, good Lord, imagine having enough time to waste doing that kind of stuff. Kid could be doing something else with that all the time he wasted. Yeah, and you know what? He was a kid, quite a likable kid, and I taught him and never had any issue with him. I just thought he was maybe showing off in front of friends. I'm not sure. But the thing is, you've just got to bear in mind, they're minors, they're kids, and that's what's going to happen. I mean, I've never had that before, but that sort of thing can always happen. And I wish him well, and I hope he's all right. Yeah, Uncle Tony's Garage. Who is this Uncle Tony guy? Uncle Tony, let me have a look. I don't know who that is. YouTube? Come on, Open. Just Uncle Tony's Garage. His first 50 videos were funny as hell. I have to watch this guy. Old school hot rod with no BS. Sounds like my sort of guy. So what I'll do is I might, Harvey, keep in touch. Let me, you've got my number. Just text me if you're available on Saturday. I'll go. Yeah, I'm probably buffering. I'm off in a minute. What I'll do is I visit Mum normally in the afternoon on a Saturday. So if I catch up with you in the morning, that'd be great. So just give me a bell or text or whatever. That's cool. So what I'll do, I've got a video to upload, which I've not quite finished yet because I just want to do a bit of work on the car to see if there's something on there because there's information and all that sort of stuff. So if you can bear with me a bit, I'll do a couple of live feeds and then there'll be more content coming. But I've just got to do it as I can afford to do it because I'm a bit poor. I say that, but you know, a lot of bills, put it that way, and that sort of thing. So I'll do another live feed in another week or two, and I should hopefully. In fact, I've got a video. There should be a video up by then, so I won't do a feed. I'll just do feeds if I haven't got content. So if you see a feed on, you know that I haven't got anything. So there's not much I can do otherwise. So thank you very much for joining. I will say goodbye now. And stay safe if you're in Melbourne or around Melbourne with all this COVID business going on. Hopefully this latest thing, which looks like it could be another lockdown, passes by quickly. I'll text you if, yeah, let me know. Let me know and just see how you go. So thank you very much, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.